Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back with me. I'm Yustitia Angelia, and I'm student of English Education Department UIN Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta. In this video, I will do the same thing as the previous one, but I will tell you story from the novel that I've read. The title is Grace and Favor by Caroline Upcher. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. Well, this is a story about two sisters who have never met since they were child. The older sister was Grace, and Favor was 5 younger than she was. They couldn't be more different. Grace is a cynical, rich, and very successful novelist. She is disappointed in love. She has gone to live by herself on a Long Island beach. Grace is a writer living on Long Island. She feels that her father rejected her by giving her away to his sister to take care of her. To this day, she never knew why. Perhaps that is why her relationships with men always fail. On the other hand, Favor lives near London. She is married to a locksmith and has 2 teenage children. Unlike Grace, Favor was raised by her father. And Favor is a typical mom battling with 2 teenage kids and an overworked husband. One day, as their mother about to birth Favor, Grace was sent to live with her auntie from father. And when the mother dies shortly after having Favor, their father Lucas takes the baby, saying that he will send for Grace later. However, he never does, and Grace is fostered by the couple she was staying with, which is auntie from her father's. Thus, the 2 sisters grow up separate, each knowing about the other, but they never meeting. They were They worried about what happened when 2 sisters met for the first time and got to know each other. Well, one day, Favor's husband goes to New York for a convention, and Favor and the kids follow him as well. When her husband is in convention, Grace went to a library, and then seeing Grace's picture on the back of a library book, and she was curious because she gets familiar with the woman on the picture. Then she remembers that she looked like her separated sister, who is Grace. Then Favor decided to find her and track Grace down. In a mission to find Grace, Favor finds an information that Grace is a famous writer in that place, which is Long Island. It turns out that she lives close by a library. And one day, Favor went to a bookstore where Grace is attending a meet and greet as a speaker. Favor learned Grace. She is increasingly convinced that Grace is her sister. However, she could only see from far away. Favor refuses. If she goes to Grace, she will refuse because she never met her before. The prejudice stay in Favor's mind that make her couldn't reach Grace. And time goes down. One day, Grace comes to England on a book tour. And coincidentally, she and Favor come to the family farm, but just miss meeting one another. That near miss serves as the final impetus for Favor to seek out her sisters. Favor is still trying to find Grace by attending bookstore, hoping that Grace attending meet and greet again. And then Grace learns a woman is stalking her. Favor wants to introduce herself but cannot take the final step. She was afraid that Grace will reject her. Surprisingly, Grace actually wants to meet Favor, but fears the reception from her younger sister. But this time, she found her again at a cafe where there was a meet and greet event attended by Grace. And she deliberately sat close to her and pretended to ask for a photo with Grace. Grace noticed that Favor is a woman she often met and looks into her eyes. Grace becomes curious about her. However, Grace is also the same as Favor. She doesn't dare to say that they are relatives for fear that she will reject her. Well, at the end of the story, Grace and Favor eventually met together in Long Island Beach. They met awkwardly at first, and then they hugged until they couldn't say a word because they were so really happy. They were crying because a sister who never met since they were child, eventually stood up in front of each other. Also, they spent together in the beach, telling story about their lives to untangle their past and their parents' complicated history. Well, Grace and Favor is about what happened when the two sisters met for the first time and get to know each other after a long time. But still, it is a beautifully told story that highlights the differences between sisters and the importance of family connection. The journey of Grace and Favor towards uncovering their past is both heartwarming and heartbreaking, which make Grace and Favor a must-read for anyone interested in family dramas and emotional stories. And this story gives me insight of how big the love of family is. The struggle which Grace and Favor did show that how huge their love and chemistry for each other. Well, no matter how far the ocean separated, a sister, brother, or family is still keep care about us. And we have to love them so much because family is the most precious thing in the world. Well, I think that's all I can share for the story of Grace and Favor. I hope you enjoyed the video. And last but not least, to my honorable lecturer, Ms. Indah Husna, thank you for accompanying us and teaching us for this whole semester. We're really glad and it was a wonderful journey. And thank you to all of you who have supported me from the first video until the last video. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I think that's all I can say. I'll see you in another occasion inshallah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.